In this module, we're going to learn how to create an invoice in MYOB Essentials. We find invoices in the Sales Invoices menu item. The invoice list shows us all the invoices that we've raised in the system. We can see the various details, including the invoice number, the customer details, the issued and due dates, the total of the invoices and the amounts remaining to be paid, and the status of the invoice, whether that's been paid, issued, opened, or indeed is overdue. We can also see whether we've printed or sent the invoice to the client through MYOB email. We can use the search function to search for a particular customer, or alternatively we can filter based on the status of the invoice. So if we want to see just overdue invoices to chase those up, we can apply that filter and that will just give us a list of our overdue invoices. We can create a new invoice from this screen also using the Create Invoice button, which is what we'll do now. Now, the first step in creating an invoice in Essentials is to select the customer that we're invoicing. We can do this using the drop-down list or via the search function. Essentials defaults to the next invoice number in its sequence, but we can override that if we need to. If the customers give us a purchase order number, we can enter that in here. Also, we can override the date of the invoice, which will default to the current date, and we can change the due dates or due date if we need to. So we'll do that now. We can select whether the amounts on the lines are going to be entered inclusive or exclusive of GST. We'll change that to exclusive, and then we get to the body of the invoice. So we can enter items if we're using those, or we can just enter a description directly in, which we'll do now. So we did some lawn mowing for Jane here. We need to select an accounts from our accounts list where this will be posted. So again, we can use the drop down list or we can search. So we'll search for sales and select our sales 1 account. There was 1 unit that we did of this and we'll charge $150 for it. So we put that in because we've selected the amounts at GST exclusive. We can see that it's put in the $150 and then it's added the $15 GST on top of that. If we want to put any notes on the invoice that the customer will see, we can do that here. And then once we're comfortable with that, we can email that invoice directly to the customer. We can print it out so that we can mail it or give it to them or leave it in their under their door, or we can just save it if we're not ready to send it yet. To email it, we select the email button. Pre-populates the email with our default contact details. We can select whether or not we want to send a copy to ourselves, and we can override any of the default messaging or subject lines if we need to. We can also add any attachments that we want to send with the invoice here, and once we're comfortable with it all, just hit send invoice and that's sent straight across from MYOB to our customer. If we wanted to print that, we'd select the print button. That'll bring up a PDF copy of the invoice here, which we can either download or print using the normal functionality there. Once we've sent that across to the customer, either by email or by printing it out into hard copy, we'll save it and it will appear on our invoice list. That's how to create an invoice in MYOB Essentials.